Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, all U.S. Constitution protects all lives matter members out there. And good afternoon to our President and Vice President of the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, with the greatest President and Vice President of the United States of America ever to be fought in the White House, besides George Washington and our dear, beloved, and we say beloved again, Harry S. Truman. And we also like to say LBJ was good too. Even though I'm a Republican, LBJ was a great man. Unfortunately, Lady Bird Johnson was disrespected by having the likes of Joe Biden, who is from Scranton, work and walk in her district. Today we're going to discuss the Federal Bureau of Prisons' use of COINTEL Project M for over-incarceration of Italian-American inmates and other targeted groups of people that they held and altered their sentences illegally and lengthened their sentence. Such is a violation of 18 USC 1885 A and B. This, ladies and gentlemen, quoting you statute right now, according to Criminal Procedure, Part Crimes, Chapter 77, Peonage, Slavery, and Trafficking in Persons and Detention of a person illegally. 1585 covers the seizure, detention, transportation, or sale of slaves. Whoever, being a citizen or resident of the United States of America, member of a crew or ship, company, or foreign vessel engaged in slave trade, or whoever, being part of the U.S., of any vessel owned or a part of or navigated within or on behalf of any citizen of the United States, lands such vessel or foreign shores, seizes any person with the intent to make them a person of slave, or decoys and forcibly brings and carries, receives, confines, which covers the Bureau of Prisons, detains and or transports any person across state lines as a slave on board a vessel, vehicle, or boarding of and offers and attempts to sell any such person as a slave or on the high seas or anywhere within the tidal waters of the United States of America, transfers and or delivers any such person with intent to make such person a slave, and lands or deliver on the shores of such vessel or any person with the intent to sell, having previously sold or such as a slave, shall be fined under this title and or imprisoned not more than 7 years. That's only if the individual RICO Act is not applied. Such codes were ratified June 25, 1948, Chapter 645, 62 Statutory, subsection 773, Public Law 103-322, Title 303. So, and it was last looked into by the Senate and Congress September 13th, 1994, 108 Statutory 2147. Based upon this observation of law, we have definitely found several members of the past and present Federal Bureau of Prisons to be in violation of such laws, and especially if they are active military reserve, they are subjected to Uniform Code of Military Justice, as well as Title 18 punishment. Since such is acted in unison and concert with one another and having structure showing the hierarchy down to the underlings, it is therefore qualifying for the application of both RICO Act and a Civil RICO Act, which Civil RICO is triple the damages to the individual who such acts was committed to. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is all codified and supported by Second Circuit law in Caddick versus Karasnik, 70 Fed 3rd, 232, Second Circuit, 1995, reversed and remanded and held a country's leader and his subordinates liable for their actions, and held the country's leader liable both financially and criminally for his subordinates' acts committed to a targeted group of people. Such group of people as we today identified as Italian Americans and Italians and Sicilians, which I, the founder of U.S. Constitution Protects All Lives Matter, has the physical proof of such illegal incarceration and slavery. Because, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, if you do not work while you're in prison, it is mandatory you work. And if you don't, I'll let the individual legal counsel for the Northeast Regional Office describe that policy when it comes time for him to testify in federal court, which is coming up soon. Since I was over-incarcerated over my U.S. military sentence by Barack Hussein Obama, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, Damian Williams, Preet Bharara, and others. So again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And we will prevail because, ladies and gentlemen, what is the motto? We the people, for the people, by the people. It's not as who has the most money, because justice is not for sale. Every constitutional law policy affords you that vested right to a trial by jury and equal application and protection of the law clause under the 14th Amendment. And through the 5th and 6th Amendment, you have a right to confrontation and present documentary proof to that court of law to prove your innocence or to prove your civil suit. And that's the 6th Amendment. You can represent yourself or be fairly represented by competent legal counsel if you do not understand the law. I myself was admitted to the bar in 2012 by Judge Denise Coate. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you know the law, don't be afraid of it. Act on it. Lamone versus U.S. Department of Justice shows in 336 Fed Sub 2nd 447 a landmarked opinion by Judge Wolf in the District of Massachusetts in 2004, where he lambasted Valerie Caproni, who was head of the top echelon rat program, who later on was made a federal judge by Barack Hussein Obama. Can you imagine this, ladies and gentlemen? Only a few years after you're forced to resign your position with the Justice Department because you illegally and knowingly participated in falsification of documents and cover-up documents that proves a man innocent of murder, when your confidential informant was the person who truly and really committed the murder. This was covered up by a judge, was made a judge by Barack Hussein Obama, named Valerie Caproni. We, the people, for the people, by the people, are trying to obtain those Senate confirmation hearing minutes. I have yet to receive any type of minutes back or any type of communication back. But I did receive in 2012 an indictment to try to cease and desist my life and my right to redress through the courts and challenge information under Title 5 USC 552A G1C G4 E5. These people are really, really diabolical. But since I'm a U.S. Navy trained and served abroad in various capacities, from Guam all the way to Diego Garcia, Algeciras, Muscat, Oman, and other areas, we are well versed and well suited to see such information and have clearances to review such, since it is dealing directly with myself, which was settled in resealed case 494 Fed 3rd 338 through 348 DC Circuit 2007, reversed and remanded. The FBI, the DEA, was ordered to hand over real-time surround sound surveillance footage and satellite footage of an individual targeted CIA agent serving in his post in Burma. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, since these individuals choose to cover up stuff and defy subpoenas ordered by a court of law in the Southern District, in case 25 CV 6307, Rizzoli versus TQL et al., dealing with Hunts Point Terminal Market Public Safety and other tape recordings to prove his innocence, we therefore have grounds and have standing to bring down these people before a Senate Judiciary Committee to enforce Article 3 laws and provisions set forth by Congress in an appointment of a Article 3 judge, which is covered under the also 7th Amendment and 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And remember one thing. What I say is backed up by statutory law, passed by Congress and Senate, signed into bill by the President of the United States of America. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is grounded in law. You can't say that Kevin Rizzoli is crazy. I wish they would, because when we go to trial soon, we will see Damian Williams, who was rewarded one of the most prestigious positions in the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York, the U.S. Attorney position for the Southern District of New York, after my prosecution and cover-up of COINTELPRO and Project M in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Thank you very much.